Hi everyone, and welcome to Roundtable. My name is Dan, and I'm the primary content creator here on I Feel Like Learning. As a student in the life sciences, I'm not always exposed to interesting topics in fields like the humanities, government, and non-STEM related concentrations. That's why I brought on some friends who are here to teach you and me about a topic outside of my expertise. Welcome to Roundtable. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Roundtable. As you just heard, this series is going to be a place where we'll discuss and learn about a topic that I'm not too familiar with. To help me, I'm joined again by my friends, Olivia and Deeraiya. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great, Dan. So nice to be on the podcast again.
I thought that it could be interesting to kind of, as a way for us to reminisce a little bit and to also shed some light. I thought that it could be interesting today to maybe talk about like clubs and activities in high school. Which ones are important? Which ones are just for fun, I guess? The things you should be doing in these clubs to maybe help you be a more standout candidate when you apply to colleges, things like that.
I feel like colleges don't particularly care about your extracurricular activities unless you show consistency, growth, and leadership. Like, if you're just a member of an organization and it seems like you don't really do anything and you've only been in it for like a year, I don't feel like that matters. Like, putting your name on a club or like being in the picture for like the yearbook picture, I don't think that matters a lot unless you're able to speak to what you've contributed.
I think that's a really good point. Yeah, I had a different experience than a lot of others because I really had a majority of my extracurriculars outside of school. Primarily because I couldn't really get to school early. I didn't have the ability to drive there unless I was a senior and had my car, but my parents couldn't drive me early.
I think that that's another point too, where it's almost kind of already setting up an unfair system of sort, I guess, because if you just can't get to school like at these early times, because I know at least at our school, a lot of clubs were held in the morning. If you can't just get there early for whatever reasons, like you don't have a car, your parents are working, they can't drive you, that already almost sets you back, I would think, if you're applying to colleges to programs that kind of expect that you would have these clubs. So I think it's kind of interesting to think about this like distinction between like in school and out of school activities. Like, does it make a difference who like the organization is? I don't know. I'm just kind of starting to think about this now. Like,
That's a good point, and I don't think that it makes a difference if it's an in-school or out-of-school activity as long as you can show that you put in effort and that you made some sort of change in your community or whatever you were trying to do.
Yeah.
I definitely think that being able to like have like explicit things that you were able to like deliver through your experience, that's like a good thing to maybe put on a resume or CV to kind of like make you stand out more as a prospective candidate. But I'm just kind of thinking now, like, what kind of like deliverable do you guys think is like the best when you're applying to college? Because we've all had our own unique experiences. I know, at least just based on all three of us, we were all in kind of a whole different range of clubs and activities, yet we all still ended up at a school. So what do you guys think is like, I guess, one of the best clubs or activities to do in high school to maybe prepare you for college and to make you stand out?
I feel like my participation in, is it JSA? I don't know if that means Junior State of America or Junior Statesman of America because everyone says something different. But I was in that club for 4 years and they emphasized like learning about current events and government, and we always discussed issues that were present in like the news and stuff. So I think that that prepared me for public speaking in a way and also keeping up with current events. But I just wanted to say, looking back at my time in high school, I think it was very weird that we had specific trips to other countries to like do work in those countries. without doing work in our own communities, because I feel like that kind of people wanted to go on those trips because it was an opportunity to go somewhere. But then I just felt like it was very expensive, which was one, like already a barrier. And number two, why are we doing work to help people that, like, I don't know, just to help people in other communities when there's clearly like inequalities in our own community?
I guess just for some context, like the trips that you would go on in high school, that was kind of like not like a Habitat for Humanity thing, but basically like you would go to another country or community, something like that, and you would kind of help build, let's say, a school or a town hall or a building like that, correct?
It was mostly schools, yeah.
Do you think that do you think that those experiences maybe helped your chances of getting where you are to today? Because I'm just thinking like as you said, those are really expensive and not everyone can afford those. So I'm just kind of thinking like, are those people kind of due to their socioeconomic status? Are they maybe unfairly propelled in terms of where they would fall on the spectrum of good activities to bad activities?
Yes, definitely. And I think that there's a reason why people choose to do those trips. Number one, they think it looks good on an application. Number two, like, oh, I'm getting to go to this other country without my parents and it's going to be fun and whatever. But like, I think if you're talking about it from a college admission standpoint, there's so much work to be done in your own communities that doesn't require this amount of money that would look equally as good, because it's like giving back to your own community and the people that you do know and the community that has helped you grow up.
Yeah, definitely. I think that a big part of things that kind of, at least I believe, helped me were more my activities that had more volunteer experience, I guess. Because obviously, in a lot of clubs, you can gain like specific knowledge that's content based and you can be more informed and things like that, become more knowledgeable. But I think that a lot of things that colleges are looking for, and really any program that you're applying to, is that you kind of volunteered, that you helped out in your community. Be sure you can be the smartest person in the world, but if you're not a helpful person or you maybe aren't really looking out for anyone but yourself, I guess, if that's a way of putting it, then like I'm not sure if or yeah, I'm not really sure if just doing those types of clubs and not helping people will kind of get you anywhere. From my own experience, I think I can definitely say that the clubs where I was like giving back to my community, like helping out with I don't even know, like doing like National Honor Society volunteer hours, things like that. Those things helped me a lot more than say Science National Honor Society, where we were just kind of learning about science, which, while cool and interesting, wasn't really benefiting anyone but myself.
Yeah, and to go on with that, like it doesn't have to be something gigantic, like starting your own charity or whatnot. Doing little things, helping your community. I'm thinking about from my own experience, kind of just helping the homeless population in Freehold. And Deeraiya started an environmental club that I was a
It
part of.
wasn't just me, it was also our other friend. So, yes.
A couple of our friends, including Deeraiya, started an environmental club, and I was a part of that. And we were able to just grow vegetables, and in that way,
Valid.
this isn't going anywhere. But doing little things, helping out in your community when you can, shows that you're an active part of your community, and I think that's something colleges want to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think that you also brought up an interesting point in that Daria and a couple of friends started this club. I think that other than kind of volunteering and helping out your community, I think another big thing, in my opinion, is leadership. Colleges want to see that you can kind of manage club activities, be able to organize meetings, and kind of just lead teams. And I think that that's, at least in my opinion, an important factor almost that comes in when evaluating extracurriculars, clubs, things like that. So what are you guys' opinions on kind of leadership positions, like how many are good amount to have, like things like that, I guess? Is it pointless?
I don't think that it's pointless, and I don't know if there's like a good amount to have as long as you are dedicated to whatever you like put yourself into. Because like I think it becomes pointless when you are just like writing things down for the sake of putting them on a resume. Like if you start a nonprofit, air quotes, scare quotes, um, because like just for the fact that you want to put it on a college application, because we know people who did that, and it's just like, kudos to them though, because they got into a good school, but like whatever. Um, but yeah, leadership involvement. I think it also speaks to time management ability, which is something that colleges are looking for because obviously schools want a student who's going to contribute to them like in other ways besides just academics. And also I wanted to just say, going back to when Dan said volunteer work for National Honor Society, I wanted to say yes, I agree with you, but also like let's be real, National Honor Society is kind of a waste of time, and like the people who get in or don't get in is literally like up to two teachers. And I feel like the people who were on the executive board for that, at least in our school, were not the best students anyway. So like I don't know. I just feel like that's not necessarily representative. You can obviously do volunteer work outside of that. And as for like the academic aspect of NHS, your GPA and your class history will show whether you're a strong student or not. So you don't need NHS to be a good applicant.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think I was more just kind of using it as an example of like, oh, like doing volunteering through this. But in terms of what National Honor Society kind of is in its entirety, I definitely agree that sure, it could look good, but like, what are you really doing in this organization? Because chances are there's a lot of people in this organization, and a lot of people honestly do just use it as a resume booster. So I'm not saying that having National Honor Society would take anything away from you. I'm just not sure that it has the same effect of adding something to your resume that a lot of people would think it does.
Yes.
I think in terms of leadership, I think that at least in from my perspective on like interviews for college and jobs and things like that, I think that sure leadership isn't the same as having like experience as an internship or co-ops or things like that, but I think it's important in the fact that you can usually use leadership positions to answer a lot of interview based questions. And I think that this could be a whole nother topic of discussion. But when you're having interviews, a lot of the times your answers require anecdotes and kind of specific instances and when you handled things. And I think that leadership positions in high school, when you don't have necessarily workplace experience or internships, co-ops, things like that, I think that leadership experience is a great way to kind of show like, oh, I was doing more work than just attending a meeting. And then you'll probably have a lot of anecdotes that you could tell to kind of do better on an interview. But again, that's like a whole nother topic. Maybe we'll talk about that in a future episode. But yeah.
Definitely agree with that point. Not to sound too cliche, but when it comes to clubs, I feel like it's much more important to have quality over quantity. Like what Dan was saying, you can't really talk about much if you have 10 clubs that you just attend, you don't participate in. But having a couple that you're really invested in allows for great opportunity um, in interviews, in writing supplements, things like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that now would be a pretty good wrap up point, I guess, on this discussion. I think that at the end of the day, our main kind of takeaways from this are A, quality over quantity. It's always better to do a few good things than kind of put minimal effort into a bunch of things. Leadership can be good if you kind of do it in a good way. You have and make these experiences that you could use to kind of bolster your resume and your own personal experiences in the future. And then also making sure that your clubs and activities kind of follow a more volunteering route or maybe a selfless route. A lot of the things from clubs and activities are that prospective colleges, employers, all things like that, they want to see who you are as a person, like what your character is. And I think that clubs and activities are a great way to kind of get a sense of who you are as a person, what do you like doing. Not to say that you can't be in clubs and activities that are more aligned with your personal interests. I think all three of us had clubs that were just solely based on interest. I just think that it's also important to also have these things that kind of show who you want to portray yourself as to prospective colleges, employers, things like that.
Very good.
Yeah, well, I think that about wraps up this discussion. I'd just like to say thank you to Dry and Olivia for coming on again. Maybe they'll become permanent hosts of this show. I guess we'll see in the future, see if they're back next week. But thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for watching this episode of Roundtable. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our new releases. New episodes of Roundtable will be available every Sunday. Also, be sure to check out other content from I Feel Like Learning, as well as all the other I Feel Like productions. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep staying informed, and keep on learning.